Well, good evening from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. My name's Jeffrey Shaw. My co-host, who's just sitting below me from the UK, none other than Andrena Forrest. And we've selected, I think we've very graciously selected a guest um, who is also domiciled here in Australia. And it's my privilege to bring Andrena on to actually introduce us to our guest.
Hi, good morning, good day. Welcome to everybody who's listening to Dreaming the New Dream, and welcome to any new listeners. And today is the 1st of December 2022, and today is a number one day, and number one's all about new beginnings. Well, today we are very blessed, and I've had a few conversations, and I'm going to welcome Paul Marwood onto our show today. And it's a real pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the Akashic Records. So firstly, welcome, Paul, and thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, Andrena and Jeff. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today and this wonderful audience.
So firstly, obviously, what I love to know is how you started on the journey, and where you were born and all the steps that have brought you to here now. But obviously, there's lots of things I'd like to ask as we go along about the Akashic Records, and that you can help enlighten me and our listeners. So would you like to start off where your journey started, and we'll interact along the way?
That sounds absolutely perfect, Andrena. Well, I guess for me, I'm a Heinz mix, born in Zimbabwe, grew up in Australia, then moved to United States, so kind of been a little bit all over the place. I used to be an engineer, so I used to be one of these left-brained people. Kind of thought psychic people sort of smoke too much pot and don't build something, for goodness sake. What are you doing? Make yourself useful on the planet. That was kind of the attitude that I have. I'm sorry to say. Anyway, the universe had a different plan for me. In 2002, I was organizing a motorsport rally and was in a country town and was on the side of the road and was hit at 60 miles an hour, 100 k's an hour while we were stationed on the side of the road by a local driver. And should have killed me. I was in the car at the time. Should have killed me, but it didn't. What it did do, though, is create one would say, a rapid Kundalini awakening, which was pretty scary, pretty shocking. So in the next 3 months, my whole world got turned upside down. Went from someone who's very left-brained and just mathematics and formulas and everything was pretty sort of rock solid in my world, to suddenly having out-of-body experiences, astral traveling, past lives, talking weird languages, and my poor logical brain just really couldn't handle it, didn't know what to do. Lucky a friend of mine had another friend who deals with spiritual awakenings, and so she was all very experienced in this area. So she guided me through this process and sort of said, it's okay, Paul, don't worry about it. This is potentially what's going to happen next, and usually that's what happened next, and then I could kind of rationalize it a little bit. But that brought me onto this whole new, one would say, a second lifetime,
Wow.
And then sometime thereafter, ended up divorcing my wife at the time there because I just suddenly had this sudden spiritual growth, one might say, completely changed me, one would say almost. And then 6 years later, met another incredible lady who basically we ended up working together. She channeled. And so suddenly a whole new aspect of life came in again. And, so for those years when I worked with her, our teachers were non-physical in that aspect. Channeling, and the Akashic Records was a part of that early on in that journey. Both of us learned the Akashic Records. And then, honestly, the Akashic Records has been one of the go-to tools in my life ever since. So that and another thing called the Universal Sphere. And so it's a wonderful, empowering tool that all of us can use. And I want to highlight to the audience there, this is something that all of us can do. It's not for someone special, someone elite, or anything like that. everyone can access their Akashic records. And I'll talk about ways we can do that today. But honestly, that's something we're meant to as we move forward in our life. It's so empowering to be able to tap into the wisdom of your soul. And as I say, I use it for all sorts of aspects of my life now to guide me in a myriad of ways. So I'm sure that's probably created some questions in your mind too, Andrena.
Definitely, because I mean, like the picture of the book behind you. I know I've never in the past thought that I could go in and into my records to change anything or look at anything or anything. So I've never ever. So this is for me quite a new. I'm aware of it, and I'm aware things change, and it's like a hall of records, as I think it's like a library of your life. But I really don't know. This is just what I've been thinking, or I've not given it a lot of attention. So I'm really looking forward. So can you share what you're going to do? Like, you're obviously going to link in. So you link into my energy, and then do you need to get permission from my higher self to be able to do an Akashic reading?
Well, the answer is yes. It is very much permission based. So just to, I guess, explain a little bit more about the Akashic Records. I mean, the Akashic Records, one would say, is like a primordial substance. It's a field. And the field, you and I, Jeff, we're all in our Akashic Records all the time in this field. Obviously, we can choose to engage with it to get information, and that's a subtly different aspect. But everything we say, think, do, every experience that we've had, all of the emotions throughout all of our lifetimes, for those of you that believe we might have multiple lifetimes, is all recorded in this field. So on this and other planes. And so in the past, in the ancients, they might refer to it as the Book of Life. Yes, it is permission-based, so I can't sneak into other people's records and read their records, so to speak. No, that doesn't work. But the beautiful thing is like what we're going to do today, Andrena, is go into your records with your permission, just in your physical self.
Right.
But what we're tapping into is the wisdom of your soul through all of the ages. And so when I'm doing a reading, for example, for you, I can't control where exactly we go. So what happens is in a reading, either I'm doing a reading for myself or I'm doing it for one of my clients, you would ask me a question. And then what happens is, as we're having a conversation, as you and I, it works best when you're having just a natural conversation. And as you're sharing things with me, one would say your soul guidance team. When most of us talk about having guides, well, one would say this is a special set of guides, which are really, some of them have been with you, with your soul, since it's separated from source through all of your journeys. So, those guides know you, one would say, better than you know yourself. You've got other guides that are, one would say, we might refer to them in our English language as contractors. They come in to help you learn, or your soul learns certain aspects, love, patience, compassion. So they might come in for a certain period of time, could be a lifetime or multiple lifetimes. And then you've got other guides, which are kind of a bit more like our traditional guides, to just help you with other certain specific aspects. But they all work together as a seamless team. And so when I'm accessing, say today, your records, so I'm, one would say, consciously channeling that team, and they're helping accessing the Lords of the records, your Akashic records. And so we're then tapping into the wisdom of your soul, and your question might have answers that are related to this lifetime. Your question might have answers related to a past life. And some people might talk about past life regression, where generally in that you focus on specific years back. But when you ask a question in this instance, they will guide me to the root of whatever it is that we need to deal with. Obviously, when you solve or fix something at the root, it one would say travels up the timeline. So, and we're not rewriting history when you're in your Akashic records, but what we're doing is we're reframing. So what happens is, what's happened has happened, but one can look at it and look at it in a traumatic way and take the vibration, because everything, you, me, Jeff, everything in our reality, everything in the universe is simply a vibration. So you can reframe that vibration. I want to say change it so that you can see the light in something. So it could be a traumatic event. So instead of taking the pain and the suffering, you can say, well, why did my soul manifest this experience? And as you delve into looking for the light, you can see the gifts. And someone, say, for example, has had a traumatic experience and they've learned to be more resilient after that, or more forgiving. And so instead, we tend to, in the records, focus more on that part. So it brings that part to your conscious memory. So your subconscious, unconscious kind of has access to all of this. And that's the part where it can, to a degree, control us, sort of our trauma, etc. But when you bring it into your conscious awareness, it doesn't control you anymore. Now you need to make a different decision. And I'll explain this more as we talk, but you need to now have a different decision. Now, that's at the word level. But honestly, the most powerful piece of going in the Akashic Records happens to us, especially when you're dealing with trauma, at an energetic level. One would say we're almost being healed or fixed at an energy level. And I'll give you an example. Say someone is terrified of water or fire or something like that. Or maybe you've had instances in earlier lifetimes to do with water or fire.
Definitely.
And they've been very traumatic. So when you've transitioned, and in my world, you don't actually die. The soul doesn't die. The soul continues on. You just transition away out of the physical form to higher planes. And then you come back to the earth plane again to have the next lifetime, more experiences. So you don't technically die, you just transition. So when you transitioned, it was a very traumatic event. You died, being, for example, a witch burnt at the stake, So that carries an intense energy with it. And so that can sometimes, one would say, still be in affecting you in today's life. And so when you go into the Akashic Records, you can understand what happened in that, but you can see the light, the greatness of you in the moment and what happened, and you're reframing that. So instead of carrying the vibration of the trauma, you start to carry the vibration of the gifts and the beautiful things that happened associated with that event or subsequent to that event, depending on whatever happens. And what that does is then suddenly your fear of water or fire, whatever it may be, goes from maybe an 8 or 9 down to a 3 or 4. It tends not to disappear because it's there to be in your awareness, but it doesn't control you anymore. So, an example, I was terrified of water. I basically couldn't even put my face in the water until I was like 7 years old, and admittedly, I'd been more involved with water before the Akashic Records, but subsequent to the Akashic Records, I've got boats I had boats and kayaks, and I've got my deep sea diver's license and all of that kind of stuff. There's no fear of water anymore. So that's how it can actually change us. And I can give you some other cool examples, now or later on, about how the Akashic Records can help us change us. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's excellent. So I suppose my question would be, for the work that you're going to do now, going into the records, is with where I am today, what can I do now to reach my most highest potential? What steps or actions do I need to take? Is that a sort of a good question?
That's a great question. There's kind of a few different suggestions or ways we can ask, because the records are really designed to help us in a form of guidance. I think guidance is the best word to describe it. So most people would say, just let me go in the records and get all the answers, and then, I know what to do in life. Well, the problem, that doesn't really work in the Akashic Records, and I'll say why. And the cynical people might say, well, that's a cop-out. But the truth of the matter is you and I, we live in the free will zone. And this free will zone means we get to choose. So we have the free will to choose. So, you're doing your sound healing and things like that today. You could choose to become a fire woman tomorrow, for example. And the universe has to change all of its potentials, all of its plans for you, because you have that freedom.
Right.
Your soul guidance team doesn't have that freedom. You can't tap into your guides and say, can you help me? And they go, oh no, I don't feel like it today. I'm going to go surfing today. They don't have that freedom. So the free will zone is designed that way because while we're in our physical form, we have duality, happy, sad, good, bad, and we have free will. So we get to experience the range and we get to make a choice. So in the Akashic Records, what comes forward is generally guidance. So the types of questions is things like what, how, where, why. So, when you say certain things to me, why do I feel annoyed? Or when Jeff explains something, why do I suddenly feel afraid? So you start to understand things. Or even like you meet a person, say it's a person you've had some incredible past lives with, and you have amazing feelings for them, but that doesn't relate to this lifetime, but you don't understand that. So you can say, what can I learn about my lifetimes with that person? And suddenly you get information, but it's really guidance. It's not telling you that, oh, Andrena, you have to do this today, because that's taking away your free will. And so that's kind of the subtle difference. Many people want the do this today, Jeff, well, it doesn't work that way because that defeats the free will zone. So your question is a great question about being in your highest potential. What can I learn from this? Or how can I do this? So shall we go into your records and we'll just have a bit of a play so the audience can have a little bit of an experience of that, and then we can talk some more about Akashic Records?
Go for it.
Okay. So what I'll do just before we start is there's many different ways you can get into your Akashic Records. So the way we're going to use today is an invocation. Okay. Now, this invocation was brought through by Holly Hawkins Marwood, and she got this from her Akashic Records. Okay. And there's many different ways you can get into your records. There's pathway prayers, there's invocations, there's chanting, there's meditations. So, and sometimes people just pop into their records and pop out. Many people have, and they quite often have that awareness. So what we're going to do today is use this invocation to be able to get into your records. Now, the invocation is just a bridge. It's a set of words. And when I say them, I'm vibrationally connecting to the words, the meaning in the words. And what that does is that's shifting me. It's, one would say, elevating my consciousness and bringing me up to connect with your soul guidance team. Okay. And then from that piece, then I'm essentially consciously channeling. Now, anyone, people that are watching this replay, they can read this invocation. There's an opening invocation and a closing invocation. Okay. So if you want to in the replay, give it a try, because everyone can access the Akashic Records. Practice makes perfect, like riding a bicycle. And I encourage you, you can say the invocation, connect to the words of this. Don't just read it, because this is where you start to get into the heart place of it all. And as you're connecting with the words, then you're really connecting with the vibration of it, which opens you up. And then you can go into your records, connect with your soul guidance team. And then when you've finished answering questions, don't stay in your records. Jump back out again. So close the records. People that open the records and don't close them, you kind of feel it a little bit like an airhead. It's sort of floating around because you are in an altered state of consciousness. So it's healthy. Close your records. And that's where you'll see an opening invocation and a closing invocation. And that's really important to close it. Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And of course, I have your permission to get in. Now, Jeff, you've kindly popped up the example that you gave there, Jeff, is for someone opening the records for themselves. But today I'm going to open up Andrena's records. So on the next page of what I just sent you there, Jeff, is a subtly different version of that, which is designed for, someone else in this case. So, Jeff, if you want to pop that up so the audience can see that. So as you can see, this is the opening and closing invocation if I'm, in this case, opening it for someone else, okay? And so the orange parts are essentially the parts that are, one would say, subtly different to the previous version that Jeff kindly popped up. And so this is what I would be saying to be able to connect to your records. Now, you, Andrena, as the receiver, all you've got to do is just sit there and relax. Okay. You and I, as I'm saying this, are both vibrationally connecting into your records. So we're both going into your records, and your soul guidance team will come forward. So I'll say it. I'll say the invocation. It'll get me into your records. Give me a few moments to just connect with your soul guidance team, and then ask your question, and then we can go through that. Now, for the audience's benefit, understand we're just doing a super mini version of a reading here. When you want to get more information, you want to have, say, go to an Akashic record reader, myself or whoever, and get a proper reading, get, an hour long or whatever the time may be, so you can work with this in a much bigger detail than what we're doing today. So we're not really doing justice for Andrena today, because this is really going to be just super quick. Okay. You want to be able to explore it, and better still, play with the invocation yourself and go in yourself and explore a whole lot more. That's where it's really empowering, where you get to spend more time on your records. And like I said, practice makes perfect. Okay. So as you go in more, you will get more information. And just for the audience too, if you go in and practice, don't just go in and ask a question and sit there. Okay. Go in and keep talking to your soul guidance team. Okay. That's kind of helps get the mind out of the way. And secondly, when you're doing that and going in, just be in that place of just relaxation. Okay, remember, when you get information from the Akashic Records, you're coming in from a higher level of consciousness, because your consciousness needs to rise. You're channeling, one might say, for your team. So the information comes in literally as your own thoughts, as your own. You don't unfortunately get, like, as one would say in a Hollywood movie, saying, Andrena, this is your soul guidance team. So, we're going to give you the answers to life, the universe, and everything. It doesn't work that way. It works with just, you get it as your own thoughts, because when you think about it, you're just, they're telepathically communicating with you. So many people actually dismiss what they're getting because, I already know this. If it's something you already know, then think of it as a validation. So thank you for that validation. Okay. All right. Enough me talking. Let's go into your records. So what I've got to do here is, Andrena kindly, before we started, gave me her full name. And as I say, I have her permission. So I'm just going to open up her records here now. So here we go. I fully and completely open to the true source that flows through every aspect of all that is. The Akashic Records are opening on behalf of Andrena, Maud, Elsie, Harvey. Together we trust our connection to Divine Source and know that the love, light, and truth of who Andrena is, her experiences, and her understandings remain unbroken and everlasting throughout all time, space, dimensions, and realities. Together, we ask, align, and open to Andrena's soul guidance team to bring forth wisdom that is held in the highest and best for all. Together, we open our hearts, minds, and wills to the truth in this moment. Together, we trust that Andrena's essence flows through every experience and commit to discovering her divine light. In the name of all that is good, sacred, true, and soul-aligned, we open this sacred space with choice, clarity, intention, and open mind and heart. And so it is. Just give me a few moments to just connect with your soul guidance team. Okay. Andrena, what is your question that you'd like to ask?
I would like to ask, where I am now, what can I do to reach my highest potential in this lifetime?
Big question. Okay. Okay. So this is Paul speaking for a moment here. So I'm just going to simply share with you what they show me. Some of this might make sense to me and some of it might not make sense to me or you, the audience. But it will generally make complete sense to Andrena. And if it doesn't in the moment, it generally will in a couple of days' time. As you know, you were born with many gifts with regards to what you're here to learn, what you're here to share with others in this lifetime.
Yes.
You have an affinity for being able to help others heal, help others see a higher level of consciousness. Would you agree?
I would, yes.
You also understand that in this piece, that everything is a vibration. So with your current work that you do and what you're exploring and going further, you are working vibrationally to help change the vibration of the space and also that person. Would you agree?
Definitely, yes.
So you already know that this is part of your highest potential moving forward, to
Yes.
be in your highest potential.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're also aware of, one would say, blockages or things that hold you back, fears, worries that may make you feel in the moment less than.
Yes.
Okay, so they're showing me many things here, Andrena. Probably a little too much so we can actually explore right here now on this short call, but okay. From the aspect of including pieces of, this is Paul speaking for a second here. I'm summarizing some of the things with regards to, because they're showing me multiple past lives. They're giving me images of aspects I know of past lives, but at the same time, they're giving me enough to piece it together, but also now giving me guidance into what to share with you. So past lives, as you know, you're an old soul. Okay, you've had many lifetimes on this earth.
Yes.
You've also had many lifetimes of doing many different things on this earth. Some of which have been in the healing modalities. Some of them have been in many other different forms.
Yes.
And you may be aware of them or not aware of them. Okay. So in the earlier lifetimes, you have already gained much knowledge in the realms of vibration, the realms of healing, the realms of herbs, the realms of sound. You have been involved in many different, one would say, native forms of working with light and sound.
Yes.
So this lifetime is a combination of tapping into some of that knowledge, that you've learned in this lifetime through your training, but now as you move forward to open up your awareness to go beyond that. One would say, as for those of you that may follow the channel Cryon, you would say mine your Akash. So you are learning to be able to pull forward that deeper knowledge that you already know in the moment that you've learned in earlier lifetimes to expand what you can offer to your clients now.
Yes.
Okay? And you're already learning that and playing with that now, but to move to your highest potential, you're being encouraged by your soul guidance team to open that further. Now we'll cover some of how things you can do with regards to that.
Okay.
So in your current form, there are also aspects where you've had setbacks in these lifetimes, and in these lifetimes, we were earlier talking. Paul was talking about being in a space of having trauma. One would say being burnt at the stake.
Yeah.
You're aware that that's happened to you, are you not?
I am, yes.
So with regards to that, those effects can have something that holds you back in wanting to go out, because there's a part of you that says, if I go out and share what I'm here to share, I might get burnt at the stake again.
Right.
You and I both know that that's not likely in this reality, but the part of your consciousness that is timeless still hangs on to that worry, that concern. So Sorry, they're just talking to me to show me the light in this situation. Okay, so in this lifetime, as they're showing me, firstly, you were a female. The soul, by the way, is sexless, and you can have many lifetimes that are male and female. So in this past lifetime, you were a female. Now, in what's been shown to me, you were, one would say, as reference in that lifetime, this was quite a long time ago. You were, one would say, deemed as a witch. But in that lifetime, you were a great healer. You were able to help many people. You were, one would say, very outgoing in your ability to help others, which drew people to you. You were, what's showing to me, Andrena, is you were quite vocal. You were, in this instance, one would say you were like a redhead, and you were quite vocal. You were quite opinionated, but you also knew what you were good at, and you weren't afraid to share it. People would come to you far and wide because you were very good at what you did. Word spread. Now, the thing, the light to take away in this scenario, while the end of the journey before the transition took place, was simply those that were afraid of the greatness of you, those that were afraid that you didn't comply to their way of thinking.
Right.
The important piece here to take away, now I'm just going to guide you for a few minutes here to bring you back to that lifetime. Okay, so we don't always do it this way, but they're showing me to guide you back into that lifetime. Okay, so this is sometimes what we can do is travel. So this is Paul speaking for a moment here. Sometimes I can guide my client to an earlier aspect of their lifetimes to allow you to meet that version of yourself, to allow you to see and take away the gold of who you are so that you're reframing, as I mentioned earlier, the one would say the energy. And as you reframe it in right now, today, you're actually changing it in that lifetime, which reframes the vibration of that experience, which then alters who you are. Now, unfortunately, the audience is not going to know how this affects Andrena today, tomorrow, the next day is helping her move forward. However, maybe there's some way you can chime in subsequent event or today's interview. So here we go. So Andrena, just close your eyes for a second and take a few deep breaths. And as you take your deep breaths, just allow yourself to focus on your breath, allow yourself to settle in the moment. And as you settle into this moment, just allow yourself to be immersed in what one might call the light of the Akash. As you may see it, you may imagine it, you may simply just sense it or just trust that it's there. Allow yourself to be immersed in the light of the Akash. And in this space, as you do so, just be in a place of just simply receiving. You don't need to think or do anything. And now allow yourself, through the own guidance, as you tap into the vibration of you in that lifetime, the vibration of you will guide you, me, back to that aspect of yourself in that lifetime. So one would say we were moving back to that lifetime. You may suddenly start to sense or feel this is you in that lifetime, you living prior to the end of that lifetime. You're in the space of where you are in your very simple home. It really is, one would say, at least from what I'm seeing here, we're not a home of brick and mortar like we have now these days. It's more of like mud and twigs. And it looks like, at least from what I'm seeing, and Andrena, feel free to chime in this piece, it kind of looks like you're in the English area still. I'm seeing like a moss type coverings over the top of the roof type area. So there's an area, it's quite, it's not a dry or arid. It's actually, there's a lot of water, moisture in this area. It's quite fertile growth. At the same time, this is, one would say, in very earlier times, pre-cars. This is now in the time of horses, one might say. And in this space, see yourself in your one would say, your room, your place of work, where you are working with herbs, you're working with being able to tap into through your knowingness what herbs do what for particular people. You also spend time going out into nature, gathering them, collecting them. You are, at least from what I'm seeing in this lifetime, just you. I'm not seeing any other partners or children. That doesn't mean to say you didn't have them in this lifetime. This is simply the piece that's been shown. You see or feel that part of you. And just whether you can just simply tap into a knowingness, you may sense it, and it's quite okay to just be honest. We need to tap into the truth of the moment.
I know I love going out foraging and coming back with sticks and twigs and pebbles and God knows what else and little flowers. Just love being in outdoors in nature.
Can you feel in this, as you allow yourself to just relax into the version of you in that lifetime? Notice how you are not necessarily a big person. You are relatively small compared to the you of here today, but you have this fire within you. You have this passion. You have this, you're very intelligent. You understand things. You intuitively know things. And you had the joy of going out and collecting things. But at the same time, you have this knowingness about this herb does this herb does that, this grass is useful for this. And can you see or imagine how it's almost like you're working with recipes to be able to, when someone comes to you, they might have arthritis, they might have a wound, and you know exactly what to do to create like a poultice or something to draw that infection out. Can you feel a sense within you that I just know this?
Yeah, there's a knowing that I can do these things.
Yes. Now, as you allow yourself to sense and feel this, allow yourself now to sense and feel literally this almost, one would say, a queue of people to come and see you. It's not quite a queue, but there's people visiting you regularly. They come and see you, you make something for them, and they go away. And then other people come and see you, you make something for them, they go away. Can you sense and feel how these people are coming to you with their problems? Sometimes it's even could also be emotional type problems as well. You're kind of the fix-it lady for so many things. And as they come to you, you can help them in a myriad of ways. Can you feel their gratitude as they walk away for what you've given them something, and it just is in a simple form?
Yes, I can.
You also see and sense that in that lifetime, how you've touched the lives of so many.
Yes.
Can you also sense and feel the conflict that happens around you because there's others that are, one would say, jealous, or others that are worried about your notoriety as you get more and more popular. And so there's concerns about that because you don't quite conform to, one would say, their version of potions or witchcraft.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so they're operating in this place of fear. They're not quite sure what you're going to do next. And as that, because you tend to just operate on your own, they're concerned about that.
Yes.
So coming back to the piece of you helping others, can you see, sense, feel, or just simply trust that in that lifetime, you helped an enormous number of people? You helped them, you healed them, you brought life to them. Children that would have lost their parents, or parents that would have lost their children, didn't, because of what you did, what you offered them.
Yeah, I can feel that in my heart.
Yes, that is something that you feel in your heart. That's the right answer. And in a way, one would say there's a ripple out effect, because as you helped someone keep their child or help a child keep their parents, there were days, months, years where they got to have the ongoing help, support of that parent for that child. You changed their timeline because you allowed the parent to be there. So in this moment, allow yourself to feel the goodness that you had there. And as you do so, can you feel your heart expand? Can you feel the light of you expand?
I can.
Now I want you to step in front of that version of you and look that version of you squarely in the eyes and just literally hold your hands out and greet. And as you sense and see or feel her, or just simply trust that she's there, allow yourself to feel the power of who she is, this resolute woman who's very intelligent, that's so passionate about what she's doing. Can you sense that in yourself, in that version of you?
I'm feeling very emotional.
It's okay. Emotions are fine. Can you sense and feel the power of you as this beautiful woman who's helped so many?
I can.
Now allow yourself literally to, if you choose to do this, allow yourself to literally hug this version of you. But as you hug this version of you, you combine this version of you, combine her traits, combine her power, her wisdom into the you now. And as you do so, allow yourself, if you choose to do this, feel the light of you expand as you are both merged in this beautiful light of the Akash. And in this space, what you're doing is you're choosing, if you choose to do this, to bring in those aspects of you to help you now, help you move forward in a more empowered way, help you be more resolute, help you be clearer, help you start to tap into the wisdom of the you in that lifetime and your other lifetimes to help the Andrena now in this lifetime. Can you feel the light of you expand as you embody the power of her?
I can.
And I want you to, in this space, thank her for who she is, what she was, which is you. Thank you in that lifetime of who you were, what you were, and how you helped so many. And as you thank yourself, embody those aspects of the you in that lifetime. Now simply, as you've thanked yourself, allow yourself to move forward back again in the light of the Akash, to gently move with the guidance of your soul guidance team back to this part here now. So what's happened is, as we work in our multidimensionality, this is Paul for a second, this is allowing Andrena to not only be aware of her physical form in this reading, but there's an aspect of her consciousness that can move through time. So the soul guidance team has allowed Andrena to move through that aspect of time, because one would say it all happens in the now. So we are multidimensional. We then extend outside of the limitations of 3D. We connect to that part. We embody that vibration of that part. And we can then bring that forward into this time here, in this lifetime right here, right now with Andrena, to help her be more powerful, more resolute, bring in the knowingness, the wisdom. And what you will start to find, Andrena, as you are here now, coming forwards, you will start to have more awareness of that knowledge that you've had before to bring you into this moment here now. And then you can use that wisdom to help your clients in what you're doing. And you feel as now you take a nice deep breath and slowly and gently open your eyes. You sense and feel a shift in your vibration. So how do you feel now? Can you feel a shift in your vibration? Tears are good. It's
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you, Sue. Get a sense of what I'm feeling. Yeah, I feel like I'm sat up taller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel I'm sort of bigger in my body, so to speak. If, I suppose it's the energy, the expansion. So I'm feeling, I feel a lightness, definitely feel a lightness. Yeah, just embracing what's just happened.
Perfect.
So that was honestly, I had no idea what was going to come up, and I knew, like, for me, it's always, how can I be the best version of me to help others, you know, whether it's before, during, after death, and in between, you know. So I know that that's really deep within me. That's what I've come here to do on many, many levels. And sometimes I don't feel I'm doing enough. So bringing that aspect in, and it's funny because, like, mushrooms have been popping up even alongside my little crystals that I've got out for the earth healing here. You know, I've never ever taken notice of mushrooms and things like that because I've never been on sort of farmland or anything like this before. So that's sort of opened up a new world. And I've been around collecting nettles and different things, trying them out here. And I picked up in charity shops lovely herb books. But at the moment, I haven't got them all out because of limited space. But I'm looking forward to the expansion where I can have them out and dabble more with herbs. So I know I, you know, really love to bring that aspect in to help people more. So yeah, that was lovely. So like I said, I had no idea what was going to come up or what you were going to say, or no idea. So totally being an open book here. So but yeah, very powerful.
So Andrena, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say the closing invocation to close your records, and then I'll explain a little bit to you, but also to the audience, so they can sort of understand a little bit about what happens here with the Akashic Records. Because understand, everything here is vibrational. So I'm just going to close your records, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that. Thank you to the essence of love, light, and truth that eternally supports, guides, and opens in this space and time. May Andrena be open to the transformation that comes from this soul-aligned wisdom, understanding, and truth that is eternally held in the highest and best for all. May Andrena embody and live all that she's received in this moment as her new vibrational reality. We honor all the soul-level teachers and guides, seen and unseen, trusting in Andrena's conscious intentional expansion into her highest potential. La'alam, Amin, Amin. Okay, so this is kind of all coming back down a little bit here now, so I'm talking to you. Andrena, so what tends to happen is the shift that you see is, or experience, is a shift in your vibration. And so the audience, to help people understand that, as you change your vibration, you change how you perceive the world, you change how you react with the world, you change how you manifest in the world. So now in this aspect that we've just been doing here, Andrena has gone back to that lifetime. She's pulled or mined her Akash to bring it into this lifetime. So there's another level of vibration that she's always had, but now there's a greater embodiment of that vibration to help bring in a new level of excitement, knowledge, resolution, but a level of power to help Andrena move forward in her current space in her life. One would say, to be more confident in you getting out there, sharing your gifts. So, and then as you've just shared, thank you so much for doing so, your awareness about having the mushrooms and the nettles and starting to bring those pieces in. So what tends to happen with my clients, and in this instance here now, with yourself, Andrena, in the coming days, weeks, you start to feel a shift within you, and you start to find that you're you're more excited about moving forward. You have more ideas, more insight, and come forward. So because you're now vibrationally changed, you can't interact with this vibration of the field, the Akash, and excuse me, and your past life, and not be changed. That makes sense?
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, no, that was so obviously when you're working with people and you're going back like that, obviously a deep healing is taking place.
Yeah. I mean, some of us might be looking for something more in the physical sense. Some of us might also be looking for answers to life, the universe, and everything. Sometimes the simpler answers are actually the more powerful. And in this example today with yourself, Andrena, it's really more of a vibrational example. You were not given specific answers like you need to do this tomorrow, etc., etc.
No.
But what happens is you get a vibrational. Now, again, this is a piece that I can't control. Sometimes I get, one would say, almost direct answers to give you. Sometimes we get guided on a journey. But I trust that what happens for you from your literally, your soul guidance team is to help bring in that new vibration of you to help you move forward, because that's the most powerful piece, because you are the center of your life. You are the center of your reality. So as you change vibration, all the other pieces start to come in. A piece of information might be useful in the moment, but then once it's used, does it continue to help? It can, but more so if you change vibrationally, then you carry that forward. It's even more powerful.
Brilliant. So I think like when you're talking about water, and I might have to look at this at some point, I love the water. I'm a Scorpio. I love the ocean, the whales and the dolphins and being around them, but I don't like going under the water. And I know it goes back to Atlantis times, or Lemuria, whatever. I know when things happened, but I haven't, and that might be something I could have a look at myself. But what was I going to say? Because I suppose like thinking about questions, and I could have said, is there any patterns or programs maybe that are running my life now, where they're not serving me, or you could ask. There's so many different questions you could ask on your life journey. I'm just thinking of other people. Like I could, like, what if I say for myself, okay, is there something I'm running now that's stopping me from moving forward? There's so many different aspects to this. So yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, I've not experienced this like this before. So, but totally love what you're doing and how you're working. Fantastic.
And that's why I encourage people to either, receive Akashic Record readings or learn to read the Akashic Records themselves, because there's so much. This was so empowering. As an example, just if you take water as an example, someone who is missing out on so many experiences, but then when you remove that fear, you're open to so much more experiences. If we take the example of you right now, Andrena, with moving forward in your life, there may be things that fears that are holding you back. Then as you work with yourself to understand what were the past life influences that are affecting me now, and it's not all about being broken. See, this is the important piece. In the old days, we used to focus on our brokenness, but remember, whatever you put your attention on, you create more of. So I'm encouraging everyone, including the audience here, don't put your attention on your brokenness, because what you do is you bring more brokenness. You then spend your life or lifetimes fixing brokenness, okay? That worked in the older realms when we were slow at manifesting. In this time of ascension, things are manifesting. Everyone would agree we manifest much more quickly now. Life's going more quickly now. Time's going more quickly now, because consciousness is going up to the next levels. What that means is you manifest more quickly. So the old ways don't work. New ways are focus where you want to be. Focus on your highest potential. Focus on your brilliance. Focus on the greatness of you. And as you do, you embody that vibration in a stronger way. Remember, you have many, many different experiences, many, many different vibrations. But as you focus on the brilliance of you, you draw that in, because that becomes now your dominant vibration. So as you focus on the greatness of you as a healer, for example, just talking about sound, how you can be an incredible sound healer. And as you focus on the brilliance of you, and this isn't an ego, this is a piece of just simply self-realizing the brilliance of you. And as you do so, your consciousness starts to work on, how can I do this better? How can I bring more people in? How can I heal people? What about if I do it this way? What about if I do it that way? And as you start to be in the brilliance of you, you start to think more in that way, rather than, oh, I wonder if this is going to work. I wonder if this isn't going to work. It's a different mindset. But you do that by choice. And as you choose to look for the light of you, and then ask, receive, do. So you ask for information, you can go into your records or just simply ask. You receive insight, you receive experiences, you connect with someone else. The universe is always helping you in a myriad of ways. It's conspiring to help us at every moment of every day. And as we do so, it comes in, brings you those answers, and then it's up to you and I to do. So you might have a new opportunity to share your gifts. So instead of saying, well, I'm not so sure, just do it. Do you know what I mean?
So another little thought that's popped in is like, obviously, with the work that we're doing, or I'm doing, clearing, doing lots of clearing, which is affecting family and our ancestry lines. So could I say to you, is there anything that I'm carrying through from the ancestors that is not serving anymore? I suppose that's the only way of putting it. So would this link back to each past, like the past life that we've just done? Would it?
I lost Andrena just for a second there.
I think so.
I think I know Andrena's question, so I'm just going to go ahead and sort of answer that anyway while Andrena's just coming back with us again. There are many different philosophies that one can use. So, and I saw a question pop through, I think from Andrew, to do with about future as well. So, with regards to Andrew. So essentially, the important for any moment of you and I right now, and I'm talking about the whole audience, including Andrena here, is to focus on who you are right now. Now, you can be in two places. You can be in your mind, you can be in your heart, or somewhere in between. Okay, the masculine model has made us be very dominant on our mind and our ego. Okay, and you can see how that's unfolded because we are now living in a life of more separation. All sorts of extreme duality, and that separation, we're not really who we are, really who we are. But when you move down to your heart, you start to move to a place of a greater unlimitedlessness, which is who we are as truly multidimensional beings. And then as we now allow ourselves to move into the heart, we start to feel a connectedness of each and every one of us. We start to feel, we go beyond the physical to the non-physical realms. Now, coming back to your question about past lives and ancestors and everything else, yes, you can work with cleaning or clearing or healing ancestral lineage, okay? And that can help you break patterns and move forward. So that's one philosophy, and that works fine. And the Akashic Records are great for doing that. What I would also encourage the audience, and I'm saying this because the times are changing with our ascension process, to more focus on the greatness of who you wish to be and use the records to help you with that. What can I learn about how great I've been in such and such? Or what can I learn about how great I've been as a vibrational healer? And allow yourself to start to focus on that. See, as we put more energy into the vibration of the greatness of who we are, some people might say, oh, but you haven't healed the traumas. Okay, yes, that's true in a way. But if you have a room that's dark and you bring a candle into it and you shine that candle and you shine that candle and you make it brighter and brighter, the darkness has to recede. The same with our trauma, our baggage. As you focus on the light, the stuff that's of a different vibration starts to recede or dissolve because it no longer serves us. So we don't hold that vibration because we're putting more of our conscious energy on the greatness of who we are.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. That was.
Oops, we lost Andrena again. Okay.
Frozen in time.
So while Andrena's just going to join us back again, I'll address Andrew's question about the future piece. Now, the records have the past, which is somewhat set in stone, but the way we work with that is to reframe the trauma, to see the light, the greatness. We have the now of this lifetime, but we also have, one would say, future potentials. So when I'm in people's Akashic records, sometimes they show me, one almost might look like a tree, where you have this timeline with the highest potential of you and I now based on who we are. And there could be choice moments, choice points where we get to make significant choices, which changes our timeline, changes what happens and what unfolds for us. Now, so the future isn't set in stone. It is potentials. But there's nothing stopping anyone from asking, and Andrew's question was a little bit more about the earth, what's happening about the future of the earth. Well, I can tell you now, we've got a great future. Believe me, we have an incredible future on earth, despite what it seems like now. Okay. Now, that future is also dependent on potentials. Okay. Now, there's many factors if you ask a question as big as the earth, because there's a lot of factors coming into that. So there's many different players. There's the earth itself. There's the humans. There's what the humans do. There's the collective consciousness. There's the galactic beings. There's the influence of the galactic beings. There's the influence of the universe source. So there's a lot of pieces in that equation. And so it's not quite cut and dry. You can't just say, hey, Andrew, it's going to be cool. You know, you're good. There's a time now that feels quite chaotic because there's a lot of truths being brought to the surface. And so we get to look at things differently. And this is the function of duality, happy, sad, good, bad. What happens is souls collectively on the planet, we get to see this good, bad even more now. And as we see the good, bad even more now, we get to make different choices collectively. And this is why it's so important to be in your heart, to start to come together, because as we come together, that's how we make the change. One person can have an enormous influence, but together we have an even greater influence. And that's why I'm encouraging everyone to focus on the greatness of who we are. What ways can we work together? What ways can we come together? And so I've gone into my Akashic records to ask questions about my future. How can I be an aspect of the business person that I can to help me move forward in my business? So you can tap into that to bring that into the now to help embody that piece as well. But understand we're working with potential energies when they do that, which is subtly different to the past, which is who you've actually been. So I hope I've kind of addressed your question, Andrena, and Andrew's question.
Yeah, because I think it's like really being in the power of the now. And, you know, it's like you really got to live day by day. And now, I used to say day by day, but now really it's moment by moment, step by step, as opposed to, you know, the 24-hour, because, you know, you plan this, but in the moment you've gone somewhere else or something different's happened. So it's totally step by step for me anyway.
And if you take that example, can you imagine when you and I think about the future, if we're in our minds, sometimes it feels overwhelming. Oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get out of my predicament now to get to where I want to be? It's all too hard when you stay here. Now, if you take a deep breath and move to the place of your heart, and this is where the Akashic Records can help you with the guidance, etc. But if you allow yourself to move into the heart, and just as you said, Andrena, that's the trick. You just make it into little steps. What can I do today? What can I do next day? What can I do today? Next day, what can I do today? So you break it down into very small, achievable steps, and you allow the guidance from your heart. So the emotions guide you. They will guide you in ways that the mind can't be clear on, because the mind can only look at this picture here of what it knows and what's around us in our five senses. But your intuition, your higher selves, can help guide you in moving you forward in ways that you don't have the answer for right now, but you just know you've got to do this. And then as you ask, receive, and do, you do that, and then suddenly all the pieces fall into place. The mind can't get that yet because it doesn't have that information, but your more expanded self does.
Brilliant. Wow. Well, that's been absolutely amazing. Yeah. And so I was just going to say, you've got a special offer for people, $155 instead of $222. So, so yeah, highly recommended. You know, I loved what the experience I've just been through and how I'm feeling even more expanded and, you know, with more zest for life, really, you know, because, you know, we have our ups and downs, and I've had a few downs, but anyway, I'm coming back up again. And it, you know, every day's a journey, every day's a new day. And yeah, so thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been absolutely amazing. I've loved every moment of it, and thank you for working with me. So another shift along the way.
You're welcome. And yes, I'd just like to let the audience know, I mean, I encourage you, you know, whether you come see me or someone else, I have a wonderful special on at this moment in time with that link, and Jeff and Andrena will make that link available. I can see it at the bottom of the screen, but obviously there's a bit missing in that to be able to show it completely. And it'll probably be on the description, I'm guessing, Jeff, on YouTube, so they can then click on the link there. So what I encourage you to do is start to play in this arena. Get a reading from myself or someone else, whoever it may be. Allow yourself to start to explore, open up into that new field, and allow yourself to start to trust the knowingness of your soul, because your soul has got your back. The universe has got your back. So it's a trusting of that. And as you take up, say, for example, a reading, I can give you guidance. I can help change your vibration like we've done today. I can help give you answers to move you forward. And then as you do that and follow through with that, I've got clients that sometimes contact me a week or a month or even years later, say, that reading, I now understand 6 months later how that fell into place. And it was perfect. So sometimes you don't even understand in the moment. And that helps you move forward in your life. It's all about empowering you. That's the important piece.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thanks for your help, Jeff, with bringing all of this diagrams, information, the invocation. And for those of you that, you know, want to play with us a little bit more, go back to the replay. Pause it at the space where the invocation is. Do the one for yourself, not the one with the orange in it. And go into it. But remember, as I said before, feel the words. It's a feeling thing. Don't just read it, because then you're in the space of your mind.
Very good. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.